Did you know you can make blooms with a completely different set of materials you might already have? It's true. I'm going to use the cheapest component I can for each part of this process to prove a point. For the pillow, which would typically use house paint, I'm going to use this acrylic whiteout paint. That's $20 for 64 ounces. That's 2 liters for the metric system. For the colors, I'm using the same brand. The pouring medium for both of these components will be US Floetrol because that's what's cheapest for me. You can use Oatrol if you're in Europe. You can use a retail pouring medium or whatever it is you're already using in your pouring. The pillow layer is 2 parts medium and 1 part paint. If you use Oatrol, add a small splash of water like a quarter of a part. This should look something like this. For the colors, I went 2 parts medium, 1 part paint, and a small splash of water just to make them thinner than the pillow. That should look like this. The cell activator, you have to use an Amsterdam paint for this, and I'm going 1 1/4 part of paint to 1 part of water. That should look something like this. It's quite thin. So you would go about a bloom as you normally do, stacking colors up and reducing the quantity so the top color doesn't overwhelm the rest. And finally, I went 3 drops of cell activator. We're pushing the paint out from the center, and if you've used Australian Floetrol before, the first thing you'll notice is this doesn't sink as fast. It leaves what initially looks like a big solid blob of the cell activator, but just give it a minute. This is the biggest difference between the two, is how fast the cell activator sinks. This phenomenon is called the Rayleigh-Taylor instability, and it creates this effect we call lacing. I'm going to show you a few other examples I made with this method, but I wasn't using my cheapest paints to prove a point. So you can get pretty impressive results with it if you tweak it as you need to based on your materials. You can make all of these components thicker or thinner together to improve your results. You would make everything a little thinner if you find the cell activator doesn't sink as well or the paints don't expand well. And you would make everything thicker if you find the lacing falls apart too quickly or it gets wobbly. If you enjoyed this video, you're going to love my online course where I explain all the science behind fluid art. If you've been wanting to get into fluid art and have found it intimidating, I promise you this is what you've been looking for. I'll link it below in the comments.